So one of the most useful things we're going to go over today, this is part of the reason why I wanted to do this class before indexing, because pretty much any time you use any data in R, you're going to have to do some type of merge. Keep in mind, and if you want to know more about it, there are dplyr functions that do this same thing. So if you have any interest in learning those, my video is online. But I am going to go with the base R version for the first time I teach this. So what is merging data? So this is the same thing as combining two data frames. So we are joining and merging mean similar things. So basically you'll take two data sets and we're going to match them. In this case, you match with a by statement. So with that by statement, we are specifying a column within two different data frames. They're distinct, they're different. And we want to match the two data frames based on whatever we put in our by statement. So if that by statement, if they're equivalent to one another, it's going to pull the data from your second data set in and put it in your first data set to create a new data set with both data frames included. It'll make more sense once I go over this a little more. Excuse me one second. All right. So this is showing you the syntax here. So this is our merge function. And then this first data frame is considered the X data frame. That'll make more sense why I'm mentioning that in the next slide or two. So this is all the first one that it's our X data frame. It's also our driver data frame you can think of. So that'll make more sense in a second. The second one is median age.df. So basically, I'm going to show you, come back in here. Let's load this puppy, and it's loaded. Let's open that up. Take a look at this. So this has each country in our data set, and from median age 2005 up until the median age projected in 2050 for each of those data sets. Countries. So it has all those values in here. So in this case, we are going to combine this data frame with our world.df that we've been working with so far. So go back. So now world.df and our median age data frame, I just showed you that. Say we want, in this case, all of the columns are going to be different in both of those data sets. Except for the country variable. And in this case, so all the same countries will be listed in the same line. We are going to use country to merge these two data frames. So we are matching on country. So this, so the default for merge is called something called an inner join. I'm going to go over the other types of joins in a second. But an inner join keeps only the rows where there is a match in both data frames. So what I mean by that, and I'll show you more, is if, say, one row is in the first data frame, but not in the second data frame. With an inner join, it will be removed from that data set because it's not matching in both. Say a value is in our first data frame and not in our second. It will remove it because it's only looking at matches that occur in both data frames. So wanted to go over that real quick. And then I did a demonstration the last time I taught this that I think was pretty effective. So if you don't understand that, just hold off for a minute, and I think that you'll understand after the demonstration. So this is just showing you exactly what I mean by this. So the left data frame, or the X data frame, is the first one. The median age.df is the right data frame, or the Y data frame. And this is our matching column. So we're matching these two variables by country, the country variable. So left and right joins, what's the difference? So a left join with our left data frame keeps the number of rows constant from the first data frame. And if there is a country that is in the second data frame or the Y data frame, if it is in that Y data frame but not in the left or X data frame, it will be removed. The right join is very similar, it's just the opposite. Say it will keep the number of rows constant in our second data frame. And if an extra country is in the first data frame, but not in the second, it will be removed. One thing to note about this, I'm saying keeps rows constant. There's one exception to this rule. You're trying to merge two data frames together. If there are duplicates in your and either of one of your data sets, the same value for the by column, if it's in there more than once, your number of rows will increase. So if you're trying to keep your rows constant and you do a left or a right join and you see your number of rows increase, the only reason that could be happening is there are duplicates in your data set. So make sure you look. And that's a great thing to look at when you're merging, to make sure you merged correctly by monitoring how many rows are in your data set, which I'm about to show you. So this inner join here. So just to recap, I'm going to show number of rows world.df. We got 225. And then we have our number of rows in median age.df. We have 197 in there. So there are more rows in world.df than in median age.df. So keep that in mind. So as I told you here, merging this default way, will only find the matches between these two data frames. So if one is in the other and one is in the first but not in the second, it will be removed, and vice versa. Okay, so I actually already put this down here. So we're seeing our world.data frame 225, 197. So only the matches that are in both data frames, there are 193. What this means is that there are quite a few rows. So it would be about 28 rows here that were not in here. And there also were 4 rows in this data set that were not in the first world.df. So there were 193 that matched and occurred in both data frames. So that's what you're seeing here. That is an inner join. That's why I called it inner join example. So now I'm going to go back in here. So I already explained what left and right joins are. Keeping rows constant in the left is a left join. Keeping rows constant in the right is a right join. So if it occurs in the right, it stays in the data set for a right join. If it occurs in the left, it will stay in your data set if it's on the left. So how do you do a left and right join? What's the difference? So that merge function, we have our world.df, and we're again merging with median age.df by the country variable. When we specify all.x equals true, so remember I said this is equivalent to the x data set. If all.x equals true, then we're keeping all of the rows that are in world.data frame. All of those will remain. Now, if there are matches in the median age.data frame, if those same countries that occur here also occur here, then that data will be carried through. But it will only carry those countries that are in here that also occur in here. So that's all.x equals true is a left join. So our right join you would write that as all.y equals true. So remember I said this is my y data frame. If a row or a country occurs here, it will continue to be in our data set always. However, if a world.data frame, if there is something a country that already exists here, it will carry that data through. Otherwise, it will be dropped. Come in, and I think that this will help. So as we said, we're going to run this. So as I said, world.dataframe 225, the number of rows, median age 197. So this is our driving data frame, or the one where we're keeping the number of rows constant. Now you can see that there in our resulting data frame are 225 rows. So everything in this first one that occurred is kept, and the matches are carried through. Let's go in here so you can see a little bit more what I mean. So we have our countries here. Those, all 225, are kept. So there are several countries seeing we have NA values in our columns from the median age data set. When a country occurs in the left world.df data frame, but does not occur in the median age data frame, it will show up as missing here, but they will remain in our data set. So that's what I mean by a left join. So now we'll show a right join. So all.y equals true. So we got 225, 197. You see our results this time kept this constant with our y, because it's our y data set. There are still 197 values in our right join example. Let's open that up. See the difference. So you're seeing here, these came from our world.df. Now, French Guinea occurred in our median age data set, so it's not missing. But when you go to the variables from the world.data frame, it is missing there because it occurred in the median age, but did not occur in the world.df. So it's kept in, but it's left as missing. So hopefully that helps. So the last thing, our final thing that we're going to go over, and I'll go back in here, full joins. So what is a full join? Full join keeps all rows from both data sets. Nothing is removed. So regardless if they match one another, they're going to be kept in the data set. So all rows will be, if you don't want to lose any data, use a full join. You will keep everything. So in order to do that, we do merge, and then I put our first data frame, and then our second, and then our by merging variable. Then we put all equals true instead of all.x. We put all equals true. So it keeps all of our rows. Now I'll give an example of this. So we did our full join. So we have all equals true here. Just to recap, now when we looked at our number of rows, it got larger. Remember I said that 197, what this says is that there are 4 rows that were added to our data set. So 4 things that occurred here that did not occur here. So let's go in. Full join. Example. Let's go to French. We looked at French Guinea before. So it's still missing here because it's still missing in the first data set, and it occurs in the second one. So let's see. What was one that was missing here in the second data set? Let's look. American Samoa. Now, if we find American Samoa, it occurs here. And in the world.df, there were a lot of missing values. So remember that's why that's there. But it does show a value here. However, none of the median age variables have a value. So That's the difference. All right. So that tells you how the full right, left, and inner joins work. Now I'm going to go back and leave. If there's any questions, please put them here, because that is very confusing, and I know it is very confusing. However, it is extremely, extremely vital to understand at the same time, because I would say most of the time when I am coding and I make errors, it's usually a merging error. So I still, having coded for a very long time, make errors with this. So while you're thinking of your questions, if you have any. So this right and left join, something that I do constantly is this down here. So when I'm merging data sets, the first thing to make sure I did it right, I look at the number of rows. And then the next thing I always do, say I'm merging one and I want to make sure, I'll check where the NAs lie. So I'll be over here, did that left join. So those shouldn't be missing. This is the right join. So those shouldn't be missing. None of those should be missing. However, there should be missing values here. So when I see that, there's always a glitch in R that has problems with that. Okay. We're seeing those missing values there. That makes sense. So I know it happened correctly.